Yes, it's true. He's hitting 148 with an OPS of 368. PU. No extra base hits in his last 15 games. Yes, I get it. 2 for 25. Not good. Slumping. No home runs. Fine. Craig Counsell, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, when asked about it, said, "We will take a step back and try to figure this out with him. He will not play in the second game." Wink, wink, nobody played in the second game. But at this point, we didn't know that. He will not play in the second game. That's normal. It's totally reasonable to give a guy an off game in a doubleheader. But then Craig Counsell continued his conversation and said, "We will give him some days off to reset him, hopefully." I'm sorry. Did I just hear that you're going to take Kyle Tucker out of your lineup when you are scratching and clawing against the Milwaukee Brewers, knowing that you've got to win 4 in a row just to be 5 games back, and you're now going to take the time to rest Kyle Tucker because you believe who you're going to play in place of your best player who's just not playing well is going to give you a better chance to win? What analytics department is telling you that? Is there an analytics department that's telling you that the slump that Tucker's in is a slump that's abnormal during the course of a baseball season and would be looked at as totally normal by anyone who uses eyes instead of keystrokes and never looks up from the computer and has never watched a baseball game in his life? This is analytics gone rogue. Now, Kyle Tucker not running out a ball to first base, you say frustrated, don't do that again. Kyle Tucker's a good guy. You don't sit him and say, you know what, we're going to give you a mental break. Great. Take a game. But when is this talk of multiple games? What are we doing here? As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what we're doing here. It's not going to happen. The Chicago Cubs in their right mind cannot take Kyle Tucker and just sit him on the bench for a couple of days for a mental reset. Here's how you get a mental reset when you're a player like Kyle Tucker. You play. You get a little donk. You get a little something, a little floater that falls in off the bat, broken bat, just out of reach of the second baseman, plops right into right field, and you sit there on first base saying, oh, God, he nailed that ball. Here's how you get him reset. You actually can say, listen, just sit dead red. Just do that. Stop thinking about spin. Stop looking for spin. Stop getting fooled by changeups. Just sit dead red. And if you connect, you connect. If you don't, we love you. It's going to be fine. Or here's what we do with a player who's slumping. Hey, get in the cage. We'll show you some video. But other than that, go watch a movie. What we don't say is, why don't you take a few days off and go visit your own hitting coach? What we don't say is, why don't you take a few days off and we're in the middle of a race, and my God, we're in the middle of a race. What I like is what Jed Hoyer did. He gets on 670 The Score, great station, and he says, you know what? These struggles are from a finger injury he suffered in June 1st when sliding. This is literally a quote from Jed Hoyer on 670. He probably changed his mechanics a bit while fighting through it, and I think that probably is a big part of it. I mean, he's a little bit different mechanically than he was at the beginning of the year, and that's what he's working hard to get back to. Clearly, he's struggling. You can see it in his face, in his body language, how much he's struggling. He's such a natural hitter. For a guy like that to go through an extended stretch like this, I'm sure it's one of the first times in his life. What? First times in his life he's probably gone through this. It's hard. Obviously, it's a big year for him, and he wants to help the team. Jed. First of all, during the course of a career, if you're a baseball player who hasn't dealt with adversity, then you're not a baseball player. If you're a baseball player who hasn't had a slump, you're not a baseball player. If you're a baseball player who cannot get yourself out of a slump and realize the things that you're doing, especially with all the help that you get from video these days, if there's a mechanics change and you're just talking about it now after an extended and prolonged period of mediocre results, then what are we doing? The whole point, it used to be just hitting coaches and GMs and managers who would look at a player and say, it looks like he's loading earlier. It looks like he's standing in a different place. It looks like he's not able to reach as much of the plate as he used to reach. It looks like on the follow through that there's a wince. Oh, there's things we notice with our eye. Now you've got 50 people who you pay 25 to 50 grand each, way underpaid, but there's so many of them, and there's so many who would take their job tomorrow because there's all sorts of people who say, oh, analytics, math, baseball, I'm in. Fine, you got yourself a job. Wait, I don't see any change between Kyle Tucker. That's your job. Let's look back in the video and let's analyze exactly what's happening with every at-bat since July 1st. And then the GM gets on a very, very big radio show in Chicago and says, yeah, this could go all the way back to June 1st with the finger injury. Things have changed. And we work with hitters every single day. That's the purpose of a hitting coach. That's the purpose of everything you do when you're showing them any of the analytics of their swing, anything of their positioning, whether you've got the video or you don't. What are we doing? We're waiting for the booze. We're waiting for a situation to get so dire when they're going from tied or 1 up over the Brewers to now 8 back. What are we doing? Is it 9 back? They lost yesterday. 9 back? This whole thing of him sitting for a couple days, I got 2 words for you. Horse hockey. As a matter of fact, Coca, we're going to do an official wait to see. Wait to see when we tell you something's going to happen. If it does, great. If it doesn't, fine. We're going to cure this one fast. We'll get a winner. August 19th, 2025. Wait to see. Kyle Tucker's in the lineup on Wednesday. You think they're not going to pitch him? Oh, it's Mizorowski. He's going on Wednesday, maybe. We don't want Tucker to get embarrassed. No, get out there. Get a little doink. We used to call it a duck. That's a thing when you just barely hit it and somehow it just drops in open grass and you celebrate like you just racked one 450 feet. It's the same type of celebration. Then we'd have some fun in the clubhouse with the guy who had been 0 for 10, 0 for 12 and gets one of those ducks, one of those doinks, and we'd go in and we'd like give him the ooh power. We'd make like the muscle, like way to go. You got to loosen up. I don't feel like Craig Counsell's too loose. I feel like he's tightening a little bit, knowing that he's been looking up at the Brewers ever since he got to Chicago. And normally the only reason that Chicago looks up to Milwaukee is if they're looking north. Other than that, they always look down on Milwaukee. So for me, watching Craig do it, and he did this, Coca, did you see this panicked Craig Counsell quote when he was talking about the George Webb hamburgers like he'd never heard of them?